Spoiler alert! Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Lonely Street at Heartbreak Hotel. Welcome to Spoiler Alert. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Dustin.
All right, we're going to talk about the movie that went neck and neck with Top Gun. Elvis barely dethroned Top Gun.
Yeah.
These two were neck and neck with each other, and that's kind of interesting because it's indicating boomers are going to theaters again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And speaking of boomers, I got to tell this trailer story. Literally, the first trailer I got in front of Elvis was Bros, that movie with Billy Eichner, in which the gimmick is everyone in that film is some sort of gay. And you could just hear the scandal in my predominantly boomer theater going on. Like, I love mostly boomer screenings because you figure boomers would just sit down and watch the movie. No, they will talk their ass throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, I had a really noisy theater for Elvis. It was, it was kind of weird, actually.
Yeah, a funny story I like telling is I took my mom to go see Stars Born 2018 in the theater. And right behind them, it's like one of the characters was taking the pill, and this boomer right behind us is going, "Is that marijuana?"
Oh my God.
And I'm just like quietly laughing to myself.
Yeah.
And then the other trailer that plays in front of it is White Bird, in which apparently there's the Wonder Cinematic Universe. Yeah. The movie about the kid with the messed up face that was trying to be Masked with Owen Wilson and I think Julia Roberts. That's apparently a cinematic universe now, as they're focusing on Helen Mirren's character as a young woman to teach a bully a lesson.
Weird. Super weird. They showed Black Adam in mine, and I was expecting everyone to riot, and everybody loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I sat there and I was like, okay. But other than that, when I saw the trailer for Elvis, I was like, it looks fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result was pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. When you got Baz Luhrmann, the guy who directed Romeo and Juliet, a film I unironically loved, and actually used as inspiration for what my brother pitched me for a Dream Repair video, in which he wanted to do Romeo and Juliet, but through Snapchat. I was like, I gotta buy William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. And I ended up buying it for $4 on Amazon, watched it, took notes, and it became a dead project. But I still love that movie anyway.
Right. I would have to see it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I just genuinely love it. And then I watched Moulin Rouge again recently, and I was like, oh my God, this is actually a really good movie. But
he does good, solid shit.
Yeah, so he's the perfect guy to get to do an Elvis movie because it has to be big, it has to be loud, it has to be gaudy. And who do you get for that other than Baz Luhrmann?
Right. It has to feel like it's intentionally set in a city that just happens to look exactly like a movie set.
Yeah. And let's get to the main talking point of this. Austin Butler, aka the guy Cliff Booth beats the shit out of in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking kills it as Elvis.
Totally.
You could swear they just took a lock of Elvis's hair, cloned him in 1997 or whenever he was born, and boom, he was born to play Elvis. Because before this, I watched some pre-production footage of Austin Butler as Elvis trying to get into character, and he is spot on Elvis. And this was just him getting ready to go. This wasn't an official clip or anything. This was behind the scenes.
Yeah, he has like a natural in the trailers early on, I was like, oh, is this too on the nose? Is this corny? What is this? But then by the time you get through the reviews and all of the bullshit and Tom Hanks in the fat suit and all this stuff, when you get to the actual movie, it's almost like it's like it's just in the wind almost. You know what I mean? Like his voice and the way he sounds is just so natural. It's so it sounds like Elvis. He looks like Elvis. It's such a natural fit.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be one of those performances that should be the front runner for the Oscars, but probably won't get nominated. I know a lot of people right now are talking, oh, he's totally going to get nominated and win for Best Actor. I highly fucking doubt it. In a perfect world, Taron Egerton and Rocket Man would have won all of Bohemian Rhapsody's biopic. All of Bohemian Rhapsody's Oscars.
Yeah, I think I could see there being a nomination there just because they're trying to get more viewers, but I don't think a win.
I don't think he'll win. He'll probably get a nod, if anything, a Golden Globe, but it's a very A+ performance. I sat there through this movie. I was like, he has him down. This kid is going to be a star. And I'm watching him saying, that's Elvis. I feel this is Elvis. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm watching him live in concert. I kind of wish that I saw this in something like IMAX with a crowd full of Elvis fans, because that would have been one hell of an experience.
Yeah, it would have been. They should have done something like that where they put it out there, but then also like maybe before it was like a 2-hour, like that Elvis special that they film in the movie, they should have aired that or something afterwards.
Yeah, the Elvis comeback special in IMAX, that would work. And that's the thing I do like about this too. Like the little tidbits of trivia, like how the Elvis comeback special was supposed to be a straight up Christmas special. Mm-hmm. And Elvis tells this director who worked with James Brown, was like, tell me what you really think of me. And they tell him the straight up truth. Like, you're washed up. And I really love that scene at the dilapidated Hollywood sign. And he's like, yeah, I like you guys already. Like, and it's in those little moments where I'm seeing Elvis Presley, where I feel he is this character.
Right.
And then you look at him going to these black nightclubs in which people saw it as a scandal at the time. And I had to look this up because sometimes people are like, Elvis is a card-carrying racist. And the more you look up on Elvis, the more he was a card-carrying SJW in real life.
Yeah, I think, he was clearly influenced, by black gospel music, black R&B, black rhythm and blues, the blues, like, those are all black art forms. It's curious. I think I saw a statistic. Elvis had like, in his actual catalog, he has like 630 songs or 38 songs or something like that. And out of 638, he's actually written 0. I thought that was interesting. They never talk about that in the movie, but
yeah, we'll get to some of that later.
Yeah, you never really see him writing anyway.
Yeah, but you do see him performing with his band. Like, he knew how he wanted the music to sound. Like, in the scene where the first international gig, where he's directing the band, he's like, okay, give me this walking bass line. Give me this. Give me that. Like, it's like in that moment, I feel like I'm watching Elvis live. I'm having a good time with that.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of stuff that was missing from the Queen biopic. Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, they would be like, hey man, give me a beat. And then they'd do the beat and they'd be like, yeah, and here's how the song goes. And it would just like work out right away.
Yeah.
People had a problem with that. And I think in this department, when he's putting the show together and, you know, he's like really going nuts. I mean, there's some of those towards the end of the film when he's really sort of, you know, banged out on drugs and shit, and he's really making the stuff he loves, and he's sort of stuck and all that. You could tell he's really still enjoys the music, you know, the performing.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, he might not be a songwriter, but he's a performer. And I think they did a really good job showcasing that with Austin Butler.
Yeah. And that goes to my next point, how the music is used. When it's pre-1960 Elvis, it's mostly Austin Butler performing.
Right.
As I was saying with the pre-production stuff, before they even roll camera, where he's just playing a guitar and he just sounds exactly like Austin Butler. And that got me to love this movie a little bit more. And then, like, during That's All Right, like his first big gig, you kind of see this in the trailer. And mid-song, it will seg into the guitar solo from the Justice League Come Together by Guy Clark Jr.
Right.
And then you see the girls going wild and shit. I'm like, that's a cool touch. I like that. Especially given it ties to Elvis's real life obsession with Captain Marvel. And it's a nice little marketing tie-in from Warner Brothers, especially given now that they own Captain Marvel, aka Shazam now. And they got a new Shazam movie coming out later this year.
Oh yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah. And then you'll have like Elvis's music being used diegetically. Like, for example, Casey Musgraves' really good cover of Can't Help Falling in Love plays when Elvis is at the International Hotel. It's little moments like that work.
Yeah.
In which it goes to illustrate the timelessness of Elvis's music.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Eminem and CeeLo Green track in here, and Eminem is synonymous for like making fun of Elvis, like on one of his albums, you know, but it's you know, it somehow all of that stuff works.
Yeah. I am the worst thing since Elvis Presley used black music so selfishly to use it to get myself wealthy.
Right.
There you go. And that's what Eminem was at the time. He was Raps Elvis. Exactly. And that's a good paradigm to get into. And then they'll play like Viva Las Vegas, and then they'll have a rapper over it. Which, yeah, I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to take back the black influences, the black artists, but it just didn't quite land. Like, say, using the Guy Clark Jr. solo from Come Together from Justice League.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of shifting, and again, I only saw it once, so yeah, it would probably be better if I saw it a second time. But like, there was just a lot of shifting, sort of foundational stuff that was like, we're moving. Okay, we're stopping. So it was like weird to see how the music fit in. You know, like what were they trying to say? You'd have something start up, and it would be like, you know, Doja Cat or whomever, but it wouldn't go very long. And it was always like little teases and stuff, which I thought was cool, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I saw what Baz Luhrmann was trying to do with that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate him trying to do something different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I also like how there's a bit of an unreliable narrator going on with Colonel Tom Parker, where the film starts off in 1997 on Colonel Tom Parker's deathbed, and he's narrating the story. And you don't know who's really steering this story, even though Colonel Tom Parker is narrating the story. You get hints of Elvis telling a story, and then it's Colonel Tom Parker narrating. And it's little things like that that I do like about this movie, that puts it above something like a Bohemian Rhapsody or Respect, where it tries to do something with the biopic formula.
Well, I forget that this Elvis film is coming out of that 2019, oh shit, we need to make more of these, because Bohemian Rhapsody, and then the Elton John biopic, and then Aretha Franklin, right?
Yeah, respect.
So this was probably delayed a couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah, Tom Hanks got COVID on set for this movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. It begs the question, where's the fucking Pink Floyd, biopic? Where's the Led Zeppelin? Where's the Temptations? You know what I mean? There was a Temptations biopic though. Right, but was it as big and loud as the Elvis biopic?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't see it.
I went to Woodward High School. That was regularly quoted at Woodward High School.
Nice.
From 1999 to 2003. Megan Thee Stallion quotes,
"Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis."
In Thought Shit.
Yeah, I just mean like a post 2010, 2.5 hours sort of thing that we're seeing with Elvis. You know what I mean? Like I want to see all those stories.
Yeah. But yeah, the Temptations miniseries is fucking outstanding.
Yeah,
if you get the chance to see it.
Yeah, I will definitely look into it.
Yeah. But yeah, Temptations did have that, but I get what you're talking about. But that film was kind of wildly ahead of its time.
Sure.
And it was just a made-for-TV miniseries about the Temptations. But it gets quoted within the Black community. People really do love that movie. And I get what you're saying with like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles and all that, but that's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars of royalties, to be clear.
Well, I think also, they're having trouble with David Bowie. Like David Bowie, I know there's something coming out, but I also know there was something released that was indie, and the family, or the estate rather, was like, no, fuck you. And they wouldn't license any of the, and it was just about like a month in his life. It was a really tiny, so it's not just Pink Floyd and whatever, but like, even like, let me think of somebody. It begs the question, can we have feature films and endless documentaries? Because I'll watch all that shit. Where is the feature film's place in all of this? Because I'm not sure if there is a definitive Elvis documentary, but obviously there's hundreds. But if someone were to make a fucking 6 or 8 hour, documentary where it was all these different parts, you would go to that for like the real deal stuff. But then where would a film like this fit in? Would it just be for the popcorn people, for the people who don't want to invest that much time, or can both exist?
Exactly. And I see both existing.
Yeah. In a perfect world. Sure. Yeah. I just think, what they did with Queen, there's a bigger story there. Like when Sacha Baron Cohen was playing Freddie Mercury, and who's the fucking Rami
Malek?
Well, he was before Rami Malek. So before Rami Malek was cast as Freddie Mercury, Sacha Baron Cohen was actually cast, and they started filming, and Bryan Singer was the director. Yeah. Credited and everything, right, for that film. But that film ran into so many problems, and apparently the film that came out with Rami Malek, although he did win he did a great performance and the movie was great, but the movie that we were supposed to get was really more of like a 3-hour emotional, gritty, not as shiny kind of a thing, and I'm more interested in seeing that.
Exactly.
My favorite, and I'm going to take shit for this, but I say something dumb and crazy every single time we do an episode, but I'm a huge fan of Oliver Stone's The Doors.
I love The Doors. I have that on Blu-ray.
Me too. It's one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. Even though, people bag on it for not being factual or whatever, but he combines a lot of events or whatever, but that to me set the kind of tone. And with a lot of these films, it's hard to fit somebody's entire career inside 2.5 hours. But I do think you're right. On this Elvis picture, they do a great job of it.
Yeah.
For the most part.
For the most part. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Like, there are other things Elvis does well, like using actual footage from Elvis concerts as a clever COVID workaround, or using Austin Butler's voice at the end when he's singing Unchained Melody, and then segging to the actual Elvis performance, and it's seamless.
Yeah, I know. That was a fucking nice touch. They kind of phoned in Priscilla. I mean, she was great, but they didn't give her much to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where we can talk about the issues. Like, this is a walk hard biopic with style. This is what I mean by walk hard biopics are films where studio executives see Walk Hard as a blueprint and not the spoof of music biopics it really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
wait,
it's
Walk Hard. That's
Walk Hard with John C. Reilly.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Which brings up another one with Joaquin Phoenix and God, who's the actor alongside him? She's
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I mean that was a killer biopic, and they didn't try to fit the whole career in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about movies like Respect, where Jennifer Hudson says with a straight face as Aretha Franklin, "Now you just watch me." Direct quote from Walk Hard. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you just quote Walk Hard in your serious biopic about Aretha Franklin?
It's amazing.
Now you just follow me.
That's amazing.
And at times the film feels very sanitized. Like, there are moments where it just hits the fast forward button through most of his career.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Like, they, of course, gloss over the fact that Priscilla's 14. They acknowledge her as a teenager, but not 14 years old.
Yeah, they left that out.
They left that with that.
When they're talking about, what are you guys doing up there all day?
Yeah.
We're just talking. Mm-hmm. Now that line makes more sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then they'll like fast forward through his movie career. They'll show him like filming a movie, and then we're like fast forwarding to the Memphis Mafia, complete with stylized titles for each member of the Memphis Mafia.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
And then we're fast forwarding through the time with the International, in which we see some interesting things develop with Colonel Tom Parker's gambling debts, in which Howard Ratner would be like, God damn, dude, chill out.
Right.
And then we're fast forwarding to Elvis's death after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, and they kind of phoned in some of his appearance towards the end. Like they kept him beautiful and skinny.
Mm-hmm.
When, you know, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. When in reality, he was like 300 pounds at the time. And here he is in like 1975, and he still looks like 1950 Austin Butler, but wearing the iconic white Vegas suit.
Yeah. I mean, you can't win them all.
Yeah, I know.
but
then we got to get to Tom Hanks. I wanted to like what Tom Hanks was doing, but he's just doing this bizarre impression of the Swedish chef from the Muppets throughout this. And I didn't see him as Colonel Tom Parker. I just saw him as Tom Hanks in heavy makeup.
I will never unsee that now, Swedish chef.
Yeah.
It really is. There's something about the way he talked.
Yeah. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, this needs a John Lithgow. This needs a Jeff Bridges. Someone who could balance out this character.
Right.
Someone like John Lithgow who could be the guy who sees Elvis's potential and then just straight up uses him to pay off his gambling debts. But with Tom Hanks, who, mind you, the last iconic person in entertainment history he played was Mr. Rogers.
Oh, yeah. Going
from that to Tom Parker is...
It's, yeah, I mean... good on him for playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
Tom Parker is definitely a bad guy. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
The level of like fucking financial abuse. I mean, that's what the movie was really about.
Yeah.
It's how this old fuck conned everyone. And, I mean, I don't know how much
that... He was also working against Elvis a lot because he wanted him... Because Elvis really wanted to do A Star is Born 76 with Barbra Streisand. He saw this as a huge opportunity, and Colonel Tom Parker was like, no, we cannot depict you as a has-been.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what's cool is like the moments that he defied him. When he did the fucking wiggled the finger or whatever, immediately after he did the hound dog bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then later again with the Christmas special, anytime Elvis defied Tom Parker are the moments that made Elvis a god. And that's a really interesting part of that. The other thing too is like Tom Parker wasn't a dumb guy. He was smart. And when he had that, there's a whole side quest that they never go on, but I'm glad they hinted to it when he, where he had that button that said, I hate Elvis. And he's like, if these people, that's like such a,
that's a power move right there.
Not only that, but it's such a perfect commentary on what's happening now with social media. And like, if people are going to hate you, it's best to charge them for it. Like basically, like I always say, if you're going to hate, do it in the comments. Like I always say that on my podcast, because it helps to propel the fucking algos and shit. So to me, when I saw that button, when it said, I hate Elvis, he's like, yeah, because they got to buy this for $1.50. It was very brilliant. I thought it was a nice piece of social commentary.
Yeah. And going back to that, like I see a couple comments on my Celebrity Jeopardy video, which is the one that does the most business. It's at 150,000 views right now. And a couple of the comments are like, just play the clips. And there's a part of me that just wants to put out a troll video where it's that entire video, but without my commentary, but just with the volume turned up. And here's the clips at full volume. Like it'll be like,
yeah, you should.
That's the song you're done. And then half-wits and then random commentary. I'm toying with that idea.
Yeah, you should.
Going back to what you said, like, thanks for the hate. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for spreading the word about this video. I don't care.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was just a way to weaponize other people's hate, and I totally understand that line of thinking,
maybe I should do that.
You should totally do that.
Yeah.
Anything you can do to piss off fucking bros.
I know, right? Anyway, I gave Elvis a 3.5 out of 5. What would you give this?
I would have to go with 3.5 as well.
Yeah, because there's the stuff that's good is really good, but the stuff that's bad kind of weigh this down.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a definitive anything, but it's close. Yeah. But it is high quality. I mean, BB King is a pretty solid regular character in this film, and that's cool.
The kid who plays Little Richard, like, sign him up for the Little Richard biopic.
That's the next biopic I hope we get.
Yeah,
and I thought
played Little Richard.
I thought that was Jay Farrow for a hot second, but I don't think it is.
But yeah,
and then the woman who played the musician. I can't think of her name.
Yola.
Yeah, that's a real life character as well, I think.
Yeah.
We need a biopic on her too. So all of these characters who play, I just, I always want more, but I'm happy with what they did.
Yeah, but at the same time, that kind of came off as a walk hard biopic where you have random celebrities show up in the person's life. Like, for example, when Jack White plays Elvis in Walk Hard, and he's like, "Oh, freak out, man," to Dewey Cox, like right after he gets off stage. That's what some of those scenes kind of felt like.
Yeah, a little bit.
In those people. That's what I mean when I say a walk hard biopic.
Sure. It's very polished and fake. Yeah. I mean, I think for a Baz Luhrmann film, it was actually pretty fucking toned down. It wasn't as glitter and fucking gold and over the top as everybody said it was going to be. It's definitely not Romeo and Juliet. It's definitely not, and I mean this in a good way, not to put those films down, but I just mean it was methodical and thoughtful. And, I read some reviews where it was, this movie's about Baz Luhrmann and his relationship and ideas of fame. And I didn't get any of that.
Not really.
They made it sound like, the infamous review for Elvis, the first one that came out, where I think it was like IndieWire, someone was just fucking went nuts.
David Ehrlich or somebody.
Yeah, and they
David Ehrlich.
They just said it was the worst thing they'd ever seen. And you say in the film, if you do 10 things wrong, as long as you do one thing right. I think Baz Luhrmann was talking about himself in this, and this movie's terrible. And I would rather, be blinded. I mean, they said some crazy shit.
I read some of David Ehrlich's review on Letterboxd, and I completely disagreed with it.
Yeah, I mean, but all those reviews that I read, it was none of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even close.
It never felt self-congratulatory. It never felt like I'm Baz Luhrmann. Like I said, it's a walk hard biopic with style. Like Respect needed some of this style.
Sure. Yeah. And there were moments that felt way too over polished, but that's just how he makes films.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's how he is. And there's a part of me that really wants to do a compare and contrast video on Elvis 1979 and Elvis 2022. The John Carpenter directed Elvis movie with Kurt Russell.
Even heard of it.
Yeah, it's actually really good. Kurt Russell plays Elvis, and right up to 1970, because it came out 2 years after Elvis's death.
Wow.
And it's directed by John Carpenter.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. Yeah. Why have I not heard of this?
I know, right?
Unreal.
But both of those movies have their strengths and flaws.
Sure.
And it'd be fun to compare both of them.
Yeah, you should do it. You should totally do it. It's a great idea for a video.
Yeah. But anyway, we both really like this movie. I do highly recommend at least checking it out on a Discount Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, go see it in a matinee where people aren't, chatting amongst themselves or whatever the fuck was going on. The guy in front of me was talking about his insurance rate and whatever. And it's just insane. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Another interesting story, not to interrupt you.
No, sorry.
The new trailer that plays in front of everything, the 355 award is going this year to The Terminal List, an Amazon series. Oh. And at the end of the trailer, one of the boomers in my theater is like, does anyone care about Chris Pratt anymore? Out fucking loud.
Wow. She didn't like him? Or she was a fan?
She was just making conversation.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, some guy was trying to talk to his wife but this, there was just a lot of chatter, when he would wiggle his fucking penis or whatever up on stage and all that, people would start talking and shit. And I was like, what? I've never seen this in my whole life. It was people were chatting, the previews were very It was almost as if there was no previews on. That's how much people were talking.
Yeah.
And I never seen, I'm like, wait, is this what the previews are like now? Because most of these are on the internet. Because like if you did that 10 years ago, you would cause a riot.
Yeah.
And I'm still of the mind, like, hey, the fucking lights are somewhat down. Shut the fuck up. But
Me
like
too.
everybody was talking. I'm just like such a fucking movie theater purist. You know, I live in Chicago and I fucking go to old theaters and watch old movies and whatever. And that's fine. Like, I'm not trying to turn into a fucking snob, but I just like the experience. I like the immersion of whatever. So when some dude's talking about fucking Geico versus, State Farm with his wife while the movie is starting, it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. The other thing is though, too, is I've been seeing a lot of movies lately in the theater because the weather has changed and whatever. And like anybody who is listening to this episode, like it fucking feels good to be in a theater with people as much as they're annoying and they do whatever. 90% of the time I go to the movies, no one's talking, no one's being rude. Like the movies feel good. The popcorn smell is there. You can drink in most theaters. It's just a good feeling to be back in movie theaters. So I encourage everybody to go and see like at least one movie a month. It's so worth it. It's such
Yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't wait to see. I've got tickets to the big stuff like Thor and whatever, but there's just so many. Now I'm like, for the first time in a long time, I'm actively looking for films to see in the theater because I want to go to the theater more. It's so different from where I was. I've always loved the theater, but now I'm like, man, what else can I go see? I'm actually really fucking bummed I never saw The Northman in theaters. Kind of feel guilty about it.
That movie fucks. I love that movie.
Is it worth a purchase? Like, should I just buy it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I bought it on 4K. One of these days, I'm going to sit down, full 4K, 55-inch TV, Dolby Digital, full on watch that movie in 4K because that movie was awesome.
Good. Yeah, I'll just buy it then.
All right. Anyway, we're going to get ready to record something I've been wanting to do for 2.5 years. We are going to take down the Rise of Skywalker and toxic Star Wars fandom once and for all. So stay tuned for that. That being said, be sure to like, comment, share, spread the word on New Realms Media. Follow me on all my socials at New Realms Media. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Bye.